What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my Auburn preview and my first team out of the SEC West. So recap the format before I get into it, starting with my three key players, then my two X factors, and then trap game, their biggest game, and then the record prediction. So let's go ahead and start with three key players. At first, I've got the quarterback, John Franklin. So John Franklin comes in as the JUCO transfer, played at Florida State for a little bit. Auburn fans are probably hoping he's somewhat of a Nick Marshall reincarnation. That's probably the best they can hope for. And kind of matches up with the athletic qualities of Nick Marshall. Good pass option quarterback, has a strong arm. Not the most accurate or tall guy in the world, but he's very athletic. So my second key player for them is probably their most talented guy, and that's Carl Lawson. Missed a lot of time through his career to injury. Maybe one of the best pass rushers in the country, and an Auburn defense that's going to need all the help they can get to play in obviously a very competitive SEC West and just SEC as a whole. Auburn has a very tough schedule this year. They're going to need a good pass rush, and that all starts, in my mind, with Carl Lawson. Guy has potential to be a first-round pick. He is by far the best player along their defense. This is a team that returns very little in the way of defensive ends and linebackers, so he's going to need to be that leader for Auburn. So my third key player is Javon Robinson. This is a Auburn backfield that is going to be deep this year. They have a couple guys returning, Kerryon Johnson, Rock Thomas, a couple guys that can carry the ball, but Javon Robinson being the best of all their options at running back. Again, with the uncertainty in the passing game, considering this is a passing game that lost DeQuil Williams, they just need help at wide receiver. Marcus Davis, Jason Smith are about their best options right now. The running game's going to have to help balance that out, and I think it has the ability to. They got Cameron Petaway coming back too, and they got a pretty deep stable of backs, so that's going to have to be spearheaded by Javon Robinson. So move into my two X factors, and the first one I mentioned earlier is just a better passing game. This was a horrible, awful, terrible set of quarterbacks that Auburn had last year. Between Jeremy Johnson with the Heisman-type hype, could barely go, seemed like 10 minutes without throwing an interception or just making some awful, horrible, incomplete pass. Sean White struggled to find the end zone all the time. They need better out of John Franklin, or they need one of those other two guys to improve massively. Gus Malzahn's on the hot seat. Came very close to winning a national championship with Nick Marshall. They did still get a bowl win last year against Memphis, but it's a 7-6 season. Wasn't that big for them. They're going to need a better passing game. That's where it all starts. I think if they want to have any chance of competing in the SEC West, they're going to have to develop into a solid, well-rounded offense. And then my second key is staying healthy. This is a team that has struggled to stay healthy the last 2 years, especially with some bigger guys. I mentioned Carl Lawson earlier. With how thin they are on pretty much both sides of the ball, they're going to need everyone to stay healthy. This is a team that has some returning experience in the secondary between Jonathan Ford and Trey Matthews. Again, two guys that are going to have to stay healthy as well, including the interior defensive line should be good as well. Montravius Adams being the leader of that whole defensive tackle group. Again, if they can stay healthy, stay consistent for an entire year, that's going to go a big way into being able to compete in the SEC West on a consistent basis. So my trap game for Auburn is Mississippi State. In my SEC preview, I had Mississippi State as the bottom team in the SEC West, but they do have to go to Davis-Wade Stadium. Don't make any mistake. This is a Mississippi State team that could still be very good this year. They just lose Dak Prescott, so it's going to be hard to recover from that. But Nick Fitzgerald looks the part. He looks like he can be a very solid quarterback for Mississippi State. And Fred Ross has all the talent in the world at wide receiver, so they have the talent there. It's not at the level, I'd say, of the rest of the SEC teams. Still, this comes in the middle of a couple games. LSU, ULM, both at home. Louisiana Monroe, if you don't know who ULM is. and then the following week they have off. So this is that's their only road game from, what is it, September 17th until, actually no, September 10th until October 29th. So they're going to have to be able to prepare to handle that road test and make sure that they don't get upset in that game. So my biggest game for them, it's not the best team, but to me, it is the Arkansas Razorbacks. They're probably going to be hovering in that group of Arkansas and Texas A&M in, that lower middle part of the SEC West. Teams that will definitely be fighting for a bowl game, probably more than that, probably fighting for the top 25 ranking and, upsetting some teams in the upper half of the SEC West. With all the tension at Ole Miss right now, who knows what happens with them? Who knows if Chad Kelly has another consistent year? But this Arkansas game's big. Arkansas loses a lot. They lose all their quarterback, both their starting running backs, Jonathan Williams and Alex Collins, Hunter Henry, a lot on their offensive line. So it's going to be a big turnover. They still have returning experience at running back with Raleigh Williams, and then Duvall Whaley looks like he's a stud also. But again, this is going to be a tough test against Arkansas, and if they can pull it out, then that'll go a long way to being able to compete in the SEC West for the entire year. It'll also lead them down a big stretch at the end of the season where they have to play Ole Miss, Georgia, and Alabama all on the road. So that's a very tough test. Long part of the schedule they have to deal with. So get into my record prediction, and I have them going 8-5. It might be a little bit bold to say that because I think a lot of people have them maybe it's a 6 or 7 win team because it seems to be the way Auburn coaches go. Where if you remember back when Gus Malzahn first took over, national championship season, they don't win it but runner up, and then 8-5 season the following year, and then 7-6 the year after that. That's just the way it goes. Gene Chizik before that, I believe he won a national title while he was there, and then it was just downhill after that. So saying they go uphill breaks the trend, but I think this is something. I don't think this is a trend that's going to hold up very long either. It's just an extremely tough schedule. There are some easy wins on here. ULM, Arkansas State, Alabama A&M, Vanderbilt. It's probably 4 guaranteed wins just right there. Not to mention, I think Auburn has a good quarterback coming in John Franklin. But that pretty much does it for this video. I'll be coming back a little bit later today with my Alabama preview and then move into Georgia after that. So hitting the heart of the SEC right now. So that's pretty much it. So yeah.